very sophisticated equipment, Barrie. I hit the red button.
Oh, how long did it take you to learn how to do that?
Yeah, I watched like a 40-minute YouTube video.
Now you're an expert.
Now I'm an expert. The world really is on YouTube. All right. This is Robert from the 12-Pound Podcast. As a quick reminder, our show discusses life's changes and how we hope to help you face them through shared stories and experiences. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Robert.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
You look good.
Thank you.
You know what else looks good?
What?
The day outside. It's beautiful. It's September 15th, and we are in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We are out of Cape May County. We're at 10 episodes. Let's hit the road.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We're in Philadelphia.
City of brotherly love. Here we are.
And sisterly affection.
And sister. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not quite summer yet, so if you are inclined to get out of the city, before we get started, we want to thank our sponsor, Maury's Piers. The season's almost over, but Maury's Piers, located on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey, is a classic seaside amusement park, family-owned and operated since 1969. If you haven't been to Maury's Piers, it's not too late. Visit them at Surfside Pier, featuring the Ocean Oasis Water Park and Beach Club at 25th Avenue, Mariners Landing Pier, featuring Raging Waters Water Park at Skellinger Avenue, and Adventure Pier at Spencer Avenue. So there was a third voice that came through the microphone, Mom. Who was that?
Dr. Barrie Litzky.
Dr. Barrie Litzky. Thank you for joining us today on the 12-Pound Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Dr. Litzky.
You can call me Barrie.
Thank you, Barrie. I am so happy to welcome Barrie. Barrie is an associate professor of entrepreneurship at Drexel University's Close School of Entrepreneurship. She teaches social entrepreneurship, sustainable innovation, and mindfulness. Barrie's research centers on the role of business in society and in the ways that organizations and their members both create and respond to social justice issues. It's a lot to deal with.
That is.
And there's never a shortage of stuff to talk about,
I can
or
imagine.
write about, or think about.
Barrie, I had no idea.
Yeah. What, that I can write?
You've got some... or think?
Wow.
Mom apparently gets very surprised by our guests.
I get surprised by people that I know and love.
Which is very concerning,
My
because she
brother,
clearly is not
right?
asking a lot of questions or not listening.
It probably never came up.
No, it never came up.
But it is now, so thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, really.
Yeah, this is our 10th episode, so we wanted it to be with you. We felt like it was...
I love that.
Yeah, 10 in. We wanted it with someone special, so we were really excited to...
We had you on the list from the very beginning, and we almost didn't get to do this episode. Our Lyft driver almost killed the 12-pound problem over there.
Yeah, it almost became a
12-pound roadkill.
Yeah. My left leg was almost left in Fairmount.
Yeah. She took off when he was half in and out of the car. So it was a little hairy to start, but we're here.
We're at Drexel University, where Barrie teaches. How long have you been teaching here, Barrie?
I've been here since 2017.
Okay, so 5 years.
5 years.
And so you're a COVID professor?
I am a COVID professor.
What was that like?
Awful.
Okay.
I mean, it was...
Now, did you do what?
wasn't
Because you did it with COVID?
Yeah. No, it wasn't awful compared to people dying awful, but it was very challenging. The students, the kids were very disengaged. A lot of them got depressed. We were teaching online. We teach on Zoom, which a lot of people did, and the kids would just turn their cameras off. And so it's bad enough to look into like a sea of 30 faces not paying attention to you, but it's another thing to look into like 30 blank screens not paying attention to you. Anyway, we did the best we could.
How did you manage it?
I just engaged with the students that wanted to be engaged, and I just left the rest of them alone because everybody was going through so much stuff. And we were instructed by the university, and also it's just common sense. You can't force this. It was such a unique time, a unique situation. You can't force kids, you have to have your camera on. That's just, they were in their bedrooms. Some of them have family members who were sick. It was
you're
tough.
In their homes.
Yeah, they were home. Mm-hmm. And, the kids I really felt for were the freshmen who spent the last half of their senior year of high school during COVID, and then started their big college experience online from the same bedroom that they had probably spent the previous 12 years of schooling, right? So I felt bad for the kids because I don't know, but at that age I was really ready to get out of the house.
How do you feel like those students came out of it? Once things got back in the classroom and normalized on a relative basis, did you see a difference in the kids
so last
prior
fall,
to COVID?
Yes. Well, last fall, Well, maybe it wasn't prior, but last fall we were back in the classroom. We all had to wear masks, and people were just really participating. And I think it was because they were so left alone for so long and that they were just really glad to be on campus. At that time, I was teaching sophomores. They were really glad to be on campus. They were really glad to be with friends. And so they were enthusiastic. They had a lot of energy, and we had great conversations.
And that's all gone away.
Yeah, now they're back to just staring at me like I'm stupid. No, to be honest, we haven't started yet. We just got a group of the closed school is small. It's only about 8 years old. We just admitted, I think, 45 freshmen. They came this week, and they are so cute. They're so enthusiastic. They're really happy to be here, and so I think it's going to be great. I think everybody's just really glad that we can be places again.
Yeah.
Face to face with people.
Yeah, and looking at someone's face.
Exactly.
I think that hopefully, we're on the road to recovery because we're, not quite there for sure. I mean, there's so much residual stuff. And everybody, like you were saying, it's so different. I think I had said this before, not to be redundant, but I didn't really feel too much the effects of COVID. I was down at the beach. It's such a smaller area, and, you wore a mask maybe to go to play tennis. I mean, it wasn't, for some people it was just, they're trying to work from home.
Tell us more what it looks like from the ivory tower.
This is the 12-pound problem.
What a tough COVID
this
experience.
Is why
Barrie is slugging it out in the classroom with children who are really hurting. But did your racket string break?
I'm trying to tell you how it was, Rob. I'm trying to tell you that it's funny.
They couldn't close the bridges? Keep them out?
But anyway,
I'm glad you made it. We're just happy you made it.
Very different for everyone and how they're coming out of it. And, I've had the opportunity actually to talk to a few kids that didn't experience their prom. They didn't experience hanging with their friends. I mean, these are kids. And you look back at this stuff and, they were really, really cooped up. And as I said, you had mothers who were working from home with a 4-year-old running around, with not funds to hire nannies and help. They just had to work their way through this. And a couple friends of mine, they were really losing it. I mean, they were really...
Yeah. Or even the parents that were both working from home and had 3 kids that were doing online school.
It was tough. It's a tough. So hopefully...
You probably had... Did you have to do online school?
I didn't. It was the pre-K. Most pre-Ks just shut down.
Okay.
They just, at that age, they decided not to do anything younger than kindergarten.
That was good.
Yeah, which was good because I knew a lot of, same thing. That kindergarten to 3rd grade was a rough year for a lot of people. They wanted to incorporate, 2-hour, I think the way it worked in New York City is that they were doing 2-hour blocks of online schooling for 4 and 5-year-olds. At the time, my oldest daughter was 4, so she just missed it, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't fun for a lot of people. Even in financial services, I felt the same thing. All of a sudden, everybody was happy to be back in the office and getting on planes and going to meetings. Everybody would take a meeting.
I think that the one thing that I really noticed, I teach freshman and sophomore kids in college, they're dealing with a lot of other things anyway. I have 3 nieces that are younger. They were in like 10th and 11th grade, and they're friends. And what I noticed about them, and even the little kids, is they're so resilient. They just did their thing. It's like, oh, I have to wear a mask them all. Oh well. Sometimes it's like, you can take your mask off. I'm good. Or little kids on the playground, like, they're not going to remember any different. Yeah. And it's kind of just like the way that it is. And they are very resilient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank God. Huh?
Thank God. It's right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious too, being in the School of Entrepreneurship, have you seen changes in the way that people think about their careers coming into school and then coming out of school? Do students want to do more of their own thing?
Yeah, I think we were up in applications this year. As a rule, universities' applications are down, like across the boards, undergraduate and graduate. And we knew this slope was coming because of these years that there weren't as many kids that were born. So I just was reading an article that it started early. I think they were predicting that by 2025 university enrollments were going to dip maybe, 25%. I'm making that number up. It wasn't like huge, but it was enough that
we're not allowed to lie, by the way, on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying not to.
Okay.
But
but that it started early. Because
What was that again?
people-
25%?
I think so.
2025?
24.98. But that it started early because kids are saying, you know what, maybe I'm not going to go to college. Or I'll tell you what happened. A lot of the students that are freshmen and sophomores, they're taking all their general requirements. They have to go home. They're not going to pay university prices to get online school when they can pay community college prices. And then transfer their credits back in. But some kids, they decided they're taking a longer time off, longer gap year, or just changing it up, maybe not coming to school.
I'm thinking about what we were, when we were talking about that we were going to be chatting with you, talking about how old are these kids? Mostly 19, 18, 19. Seems like a long time ago for me, a little bit long for you, and not quite as long for Robert. But what I wanted to get into, which I think is interesting, we don't have a 19, 20-year-old here, but we do have 3 different generations. Now, I know I'm a boomer, a baby boomer.
I'm a late boomer.
You're a late bloomer.
Yeah, so
a late bloomer. I was going to say a late
so we're
bloomer.
both boomers, but you were closer to the beginning,
So I boom bigger.
and I'm closer to the end. Yeah, but that was a big. I mean, the great, not the greatest. Excuse me, the largest generation, right? Number of
boomers,
people.
yeah.
46 to 64.
Now, I think they called or at least my parents' generation, the greatest. The greatest
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
And you would be, Robert, I'm pointing, you would be
I am. I'm Gen X.
You're Gen
Gen
X.
X.
Yep, I'm right there.
Yeah, Gen X is you had technology pretty much.
We saw both sides.
Okay.
So we were old enough to be pre-iPhone.
You remember
pre-email,
answering machines.
Answering machines
Yeah.
and the yellow pages.
Yeah. Okay.
Beepers were a big deal.
Yes, beepers.
I typed papers. I would have started typing papers on a typewriter.
Yeah.
And then had a word processor.
Yes. Okay.
And then a computer. All in my 18 years of school.
Wow. Okay.
So when you start talking about it like that, it's interesting. You're older than I would think.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Mom.
That's what I'm
Is that what
thinking,
you're
too.
thinking? Like, you're kind of old, Rob.
Right. But wait. But
I look
what,
good.
You
though.
feeling better, Bear? Feeling
But
younger?
what- I'm feeling so much younger.
Me
But
too.
wait.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, we typed on a typewriter, electric typewriter.
Yeah, it would have been electric. We still had some older school typewriters as well, but yeah, mostly electric. Electric typewriters and then electric word processors.
Yeah,
and not a lot of people had them. We had one. So kids, when I was in high school, would come to our house
To use it.
to type their papers.
We had one college roommate who had an electric typewriter, and there were 7 of us. So we were always using the typewriter.
Well,
yeah.
not to show my age, but I remember both. So I remember because I was in my dad's office. So I remember when we got the electric typewriter, but I also remember the Royal
Oh, yeah. Portable.
Bang Hard.
My
Well, you
mom-
also didn't you work for AT&T? Did you work for the phone
When
company?
I think about that, I worked in the summer as a Bell telephone operator. And I'm talking headset, cords, plug-in,
I always wondered,
operator.
what are those plugs doing?
Well,
what are you
there's
plugging into?
You're plugging into sections of lights. Like if the first 3 numbers are 522, 884, 886, so you know where the call's coming from. And then their cards, if it's collect, you're stamping a card. I mean, it's really incredible. But there was a listening key. One of the sections had a listening key. And and these were my friends.
Ooh.
So if you were lucky enough to get to the listening key, you could listen to conversations. Did your parents make you call them person to person or collect and not accept the charges?
Yes.
So they knew you got where you were going?
Well, my grandparents when we got home from New York, my mother would have to call and say, a collect call for Sheila Litzky, and they'd say, there's no one here by that name.
And didn't everybody knew?
Right.
Everybody knew what you were doing.
Yeah, but we were getting over on the man, so everybody was into it.
Exactly.
I remember, in the 70s, the bug man would come. Do you remember the bug man? Did you have the bug man in New Jersey? Because we had the bug man in Annapolis. So
The bug
this
man.
big truck, it looked like a garbage truck, and it was spraying chemicals, big fog all around the neighborhoods. And what would kids do?
Run in
We
it.
ran behind the bug man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
idiots.
Yeah, we did that too. But
Getting all those chemicals, breathing, the bug man.
Actually, it
We were
was
so
DDT.
excited. DDT,
that's
exactly.
what you're breathing. And it
Yeah.
smelled so good.
But our parents never said, like, you're idiots, get away
they
from the
didn't
bug
know.
man.
Yeah,
They didn't know.
It smelled so good. Thinking about it now, I'm going to be thinking about the smell of that. You know what else smelled really good? Here's my age. In school, I don't know if Robert would remember this, but mimeograph, the purple.
loved
that let me
Dittos.
okay. You
Yeah.
know why you were like drawn to that?
Why?
It was alcohol based.
There you go.
That's what they said.
Really?
later on. Yeah. It was.
I used to love, will you go make copies? First
sure.
of all, it was like you went into a closet. And
So you're like
the thing-
huffing fumes.
Yeah, huffing
seriously,
fumes in a
you're in the closet huffing the copies.
That's how it started, huh?
That's how it's all started. That's how it all started. Yeah, yeah. It was good. That was great stuff. But anyway, what I was interested in is, age-wise, what do you, at what age do you say, what happens at 45, Rob? Any difference? Any difference when
I noticed something different the other day. My
What?
daughter was sick. She had a cold, and I had to figure out how much of the cold medicine to give her. So I wasn't sure if it was going to be 5 milliliters or 10 milliliters. So I went to check the box, and I couldn't read it. And it was the first time that it ever happened. And it has been with me like a parasite ever since. I've lost my vision.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you have to hold it out?
I had to
for a bit?
hold it out,
Oh,
and
that's-
I kept,
yeah.
I was testing it. Like where, how, and then I'm trying to figure out, like, is 6 inches bad? Is 4 inches bad? That's when I knew things have changed.
Yeah.
That is a 40s thing.
Yeah, for me, it happened at 39.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading, I guess I was just finishing up my doctorate, but I was reading all the time. And I remember I called one of my college roommates and I said, I think I have a brain tumor. And she goes, why? And I said, because all of a sudden I woke up today and I can't read the pages. And she's, when's the last time you had your eyes checked? And I was like, why would I do that? What do you mean eyes checked?
But I did have my eyes checked, a year or two ago.
It's just-
it happens quickly.
It does.
Apparently, yeah, I had an eye doctor say that eventually it's because the muscles or something in your eye starts to wear out like everything else eventually does.
And it's around the same
Same
age.
age.
What's going on age-wise with me with my eyes? This is crazy. For some reason, at this very moment, my farsighted, I can't see far away, is perfect. And I needed glasses. So now the glasses are no good because I need to take them off to see far away. So I said to my doctor, what is going on? I've got 20/20 all of a sudden. She said, oh, it won't last.
It's like a transition.
It's a transition. Like, this is ridiculous,
Wow.
Yeah. I said, does this happen to a lot of people? She said, not really. I said, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be so cool, though.
It is cool, but it's not because you can't, the glasses that I have are really no good.
Right, but do you still need them?
Yeah, because they're all progressives.
Oh, I have the progressives.
Yeah, they're all progressives. So anyway, that's what goes on at 70. That might not go on for you.
That's all that's going on with you?
No, I'm in the chute, baby.
Yeah, you're at bat.
I'm at bat. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. Other than the fact that I have an age spot on my forehead that looks like a standard poodle, and I told her that, right? No, I said to her. She goes, it does.
What do you mean? Let me
It
see.
looks like a standard poodle. Do you want to see it?
Oh, you
Hold
mean
on,
the
audience.
mark itself does? Oh my God! No, you know what? It really looks more like a Scotty dog.
It looks like a Scotty
She's got
dog.
a Scotty dog on her forehead.
Right. Yeah, right. So anyway, I
We
wouldn't
need to
give up.
How do we monetize that?
I don't know. It's I'm chosen.
amazing.
I'm chosen by the canine
It's
cavalry.
too bad it doesn't look like Our Lady of Guadalupe.
I know. People would come
They could
And
come
pray.
for.
and pray to her forehead. She would be, I've got a tennis match at 10, so let's get this over with.
It'd be great, but it would be like the start of everyone standing vigil for her when she dies.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Not that I'm talking about my funeral, but I've been watching The Queen, and I just told Dr. Litzky that I like the vigil idea better than the Wailing Wall. I do. I just thought it was moving. I thought it was very moving.
So you want the
But-
family to stand vigil.
Yeah, I do. And, and everybody, like lots of vigils, lots of vigilantes. You can be in charge of that, Robbie.
Open casting call.
Open casket call.
Open casket call for vigilantes.
Yeah.
The greater Wildwood area.
Yeah. But anyway.
Is that how you
anyway.
want? So do you have like a something written down with how you want this to end?
Me?
Yeah. Do you want to be?
Well,
Barrie said she wants Quizzo. She wants the
Yeah.
world to celebrate her with a question about.
Lots of questions about my life, Barrie Litzky trivia, and you get prizes if you know me. Whoever knows me the best.
I like it.
I don't know what the prizes are.
Well, I
but-
thought they should be your estate.
Yeah, my huge, enormous estate.
I like that.
That's a
I
great
like
idea.
that.
Who wants Barrie's books?
Right.
That sounds like a shop.
Who wants the lint in the closet?
Yeah, Yeah, somebody was talking about age and, because we were all born and we're all going to pass. But saying I'm at bat, I always say that you're in the chute. And somebody was saying it's like a baseball diamond.
I think, yeah. It's like when you have grandchildren. Well, you have grandchildren. So Rob's kids they're in the hole. Rob's
they're
on
in the dugout?
deck. Yeah, they're in the hole, in the dugout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rob's on deck, and you're at bat. And so my parents were, they were at bat for many, many years. I was really lucky, and now I'm at bat. Yeah.
No, you're not at bat.
Well, I'm the next generation. I'm there's no other older generation. Like
But you
I'm
could use the bases.
Absolutely.
So
Doesn't
you
mean
would
that
be-
I'm going to, but I'm at bat. I'm up to the plate. Yeah, of course you
think?
can use the bases. Well, I mean, my parents are already gone, so who else is going to go before me?
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of age.
Oh,
so
yeah.
your
No, I'm
age.
thinking of,
Yeah, okay. I see
next
what you're saying. You're
in
thinking
line
generation.
in your-
Okay.
I'm thinking
No, I'm thinking
generations
kind
in
of
the
of like
family.
the age and
Oh,
how
yeah.
long. So if you were doing like the diamond or the bases,
Yeah.
you're sort of, I don't know, trying to steal third.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to steal
Well, you're
third.
trying to steal third. I'm still at the plate.
Yeah, that's
You are.
Whatever you say, Dr.
You're taking pitches.
There you
Just
go.
letting them come
he
in.
says exactly. I'm just watching the pitch.
Just
which
watching
is
the pitch.
what we had Rob and I were talking about before, and my parents passed away very young, so I didn't get a look at that. I worked around people in independent or assisted living for quite a while, so I got to see other people going through that. I must say, mostly daughters, but you had a first bird's eye experience with that.
I did.
And from what I have, what I've witnessed and stuff, it's not an easy gig.
It's not an easy gig, and there's a couple things that I remember years ago. My friend, one of my best friends, her parents were a good 10 or 15 years older than my parents. And she said to me one day her mother was suffering, and she said, people live too long. And I thought she was joking. I started laughing, and she goes, no, really. So then my parents get sick, and they both have dementia, basically, for different reasons. And I'm thinking, oh my God, people really do live too long, because that whole dementia thing is it's a whole different story. Yeah, they're like toddlers. They become like toddlers. So it's a lot to manage, but in my family there was a lot of support, a lot of love, and a lot of humor. My parents were funny. I mean, I remember my father even like telling me this story, and he keeps repeating himself. And my mother's, who became completely impatient with him, was like, get to the point. And he says, I don't even know the point. And he looked at me and he goes, I'm boring myself. Yeah, so there was, there were days that were horrible, there were days that were great, but at the end it's like just gratitude. I had them for a long time, and they were really great for a long time. Yeah, but to your point, the care I've seen, a lot of women are for some reason the women are just doing it. I mean, in our situation, my brother lives in California, and my sister and I are both here, so that was, that kind of made us the go-tos. Yeah, I've noticed that oftentimes it's the daughter.
Even when they were searching for a place for mom or mom and dad to go, it was rarely the son. A lot of times it was geography. Sometimes it was geography, but it was mostly the daughter. And the age, it's interesting because you're in your 50s, and that's about where it falls, or early 60s. And it's an interesting time because your kids are, if you have children, they're usually up and gone, and it's the time that should be kind of done it. We've been working, we're getting near the end of, that, or we're really established at what we're doing. We're not questioning, oh my God, how are we going to pay for this, or what are we going to, do with that? And then all of a sudden you have this huge responsibility, or this huge, and there's so much that I saw anyway. You can tell me, there were so many, depending on the relationship you had with your parents. I know a woman I knew very well was crazy about her mother, and she took care of her. Her mom moved in with her, and she said, I have to really be honest. There were times where I wanted to throw her out of a window. I couldn't believe that my feelings were like, I just wanted to wring her neck, and because you're exhausted.
Yeah, but the other thing is that they're not the person that
Right.
you remember.
Yeah.
You know, it's frustrating. Like, you know, they're not the parent that they always were. First of all, they stop being parents. So there's none of that, like, let me bounce this idea off mom and see what she has to say about it, because there's no.
That's what someone
Yeah.
actually wrote in. We had a listener write in, and that was something that she was really contending with. She's dealing with that transition of your parents were always your support system, and now all of a sudden you're your parents' support system. It creates a lot of.
Well, there's just a lot of emotions around it, you know. But one of the things that's really blows my mind is, you know, my parents both had aging parents. My grandparents were all my grandfathers both lived into their middle to late 70s, which was old for their generation. My grandmothers both lived till 90, and my parents lost their parents, and I never remember them even complaining or being frustrated. Now, I know that they had to have been, but my mom also wasn't a primary caregiver because her parents lived far away. But I never remember them even saying, like, God, this sucks, or this is really hard.
How about that?
So that when it came our turn, I was like, God, this sucks. How come they never told me how bad this was going to be? And but the other thing is about talking about age, like, so now this is just what all my friends are talking about. You know, we talk, well, this is what my father did yesterday, or this is because
interesting.
everybody's dealing with the same. You know, we're in the same phase of life.
Yeah.
And so for those, you know, I have some friends that lost parents young, but for the rest of us, you know, we were really lucky. We had parents that were cool and that lived a long time and a healthy life, and we had great childhood and all that. But then we had to deal with them like they were children, like they were toddlers, really
right.
toddlers.
Which I never, it was interesting. My sister and I would talk about that, and, you know, somebody said once that, you know, well, you guys dodged a bullet. And when I first heard that, you know, I'm thinking, well, that's kind of cold.
Yeah.
But, and then you think it's interesting because I will never know my parents as elderly. And I look at that and I often think, I wonder what my parents would have looked like. You know, I mean, of course, now they'd probably be gone, but my mother would be 98, I think, or 99 or something like that. Well, she was 64.
Wow.
You know, so it's, I don't know that, you know. I was thinking, I don't know why I went from there to, you know, like a Marilyn Monroe. You know, when you have that visualization, she's what, 28, 30 years old. That's all
Yes,
you know.
that's all you ever know,
That's all you ever
right.
know. So, and it was funny, we were talking, like Bette Davis, I thought, made a big mistake doing the Johnny Carson show when she was really, really old. And that's when I think of Bette Davis, which often at times I do, I think what that poor kid puts up with, and it tears my heart in two. What is that? She's
I don't
out
know.
every night in a swank cabaret. No, okay. I think that's a dad song.
It might be
Breakfast
something
in
Dad
bed.
wrote.
What kind of life is that? Well, anyway, that's the name of the song. Yeah, and she came on the Johnny Carson show, and she was ancient. So when I think of her, that's what I see. You know, not
Yes.
Bette Davis in the movies and stuff. I think of her sitting on that sofa, just, you know, like almost like a skeleton.
Little old lady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very old. So, but you know, I talked to you a bit because I was in Philadelphia, and you know, you were back and
In the
your
same
sister.
building.
Yeah, in
My
the same
parents.
building. In the same building.
Well, there's a reason there's a lot of old people in the Philadelphian, and it's because it's a great place for old people.
It really is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the grocery store and the diner, and people can get their hair done. And
We'd like to thank the Philadelphian for
Yes.
sponsoring this episode. But instead, we're going to thank Maurice Pierce.
In particular, Klein's Supermarket, but we can talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can. I think that's a
Absolutely.
good one, too.
Absolutely. What were you saying, Robert? You were trying to do a...
I was actually just thinking that it's probably not too late for you to adopt a daughter so we can get some help, because apparently sons don't help too much.
Well, you don't.
So
you
we're going to
know,
have to put a wanted
I
ad
told
out.
Robert, and he doesn't like. I don't do it anymore. But I used to tell him, honey, just this is what you're going to do.
This is her end of life
This
plan,
is my end of
by the
life
way.
plan. Okay, you get a pillow,
And my
and you
father's
just
is the same.
put it over my face and hold it tight. I'm going to fight you. I'm probably going to fight really hard, but you can do it. I know you can do it. And he would always go, stop that. Stop that. Right? So then he told me, so he said, you're not going to believe this, but Dad told me the same thing. We're divorced. I said, he did not. He goes, yeah, he did. I was like, oh, that's our plan.
Because nobody wants to live. I don't know one person that says, oh, I want to live, you know, while I'm shitting myself in my wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
I want my kids to have to change my diapers. Yeah, I can't wait until I don't remember
Right.
anything, you know. I
Right.
don't even remember how to eat. Yeah. Sign me up. Nobody wants to live like that. So everybody's saying, like, I mean, really, you could do a whole episode on right to die, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. It's
we do it for our pets, our beloved pets.
Yeah.
But we can't do it for our beloved humans.
Yeah, and
Most
beloved
places.
humans that even can voice. I mean, the pet can't say,
Right.
Please take
Yeah.
me to the vet.
Right.
Right. Your parent can say, please help me.
Yes.
I just want to go.
Yeah.
I just want to go. It's time to go. I've paid enough electric bills and I'm out of here. Right?
I have a friend who his mom was dying, and he was there on his birthday, and he said, "Hey Ma, you didn't die on my birthday." It was like 3 p.m, and she opened her eyes and says, "Day's not over yet."
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's great. What you said is, I think, so important, and that is the letter that you received or the email that you received from that young woman that's really struggling, not just the taking care of part, but sort of losing, the thought of losing your parents, and that, like you said, they're not who they were. But humor has always gotten me, and I think I would say you as well, Rob, through.
Oh, you guys are a funny family.
Yeah, we're
You
a
love
funny
to laugh.
family.
Yeah.
And
That's-
it's, if you can't, life can be tough. Life is tough, and getting, that was Bette Davis, wasn't it? Isn't that funny? It was Bette Davis. Getting old is not for sissies.
No, Irma Bombeck. It was
Okay,
Irma
Bombeck's not for
Yeah.
sissies, and
Getting old is not for sissies.
it's not.
You can check that.
I'll check
Yeah,
that too.
fact check. Where's our
check.
producer?
Get the producer.
And if you were right, I'd hate to correct you on your own show. I apologize in advance.
It's okay, Bear. It's okay. But yeah, it's you have to laughter is the best medicine.
We have my mom was always losing her teeth and her glasses and her car keys. Like before she even had dementia, or at least before any of us recognized it, she was always losing everything, right? She even had a cartoon in the bathroom. There was a bunch of people sitting around and their glasses were on top of their heads, and the caption was "Missing Glasses Support Group." So that was like 25 years ago. But anyhow, she loses her teeth. And we got her new teeth. Then she loses them again. So she had a lazy boy that she practically was living in. So my sister and I are sitting on the sofa, and she says, "I bet you my teeth are in this chair." We're like, "Ma, we checked the chair. We pulled it open. We checked under it." She says, "I bet you if you call Lazy Boy and you get the guy to come out with an x-ray machine and he will x-ray this chair and he will find my teeth." So we cracked up, we're like rolling on top of each other on the sofa. And she says, "What are you laughing at?" We're like, "Ma, it's not a thing. Like, the Lazy Boy guy does not come out with the x-ray
With the
machine."
x-ray, yeah.
Right. She goes, "I'll bet you I could call Lazy Boy right now and they'll come out." I said, "Well, you go right ahead, Mother."
I don't know if that's part of the warranty.
The chair ate the teeth.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, so that was funny.
Yeah, that
I mean,
is
it was
funny.
funny.
That is funny.
Sad, but it was more funny than sad.
My grandmother, she was in her 90s, but dementia for maybe 12 years. And my mother passed away really young, so my grandmother really outlived her, and she was in a, at the time they weren't assisted livings, it was more of a nursing home situation.
yeah.
Once again, my age. There were no assisted livings, independent livings, memory care, all of that. And someone had to tell her that her daughter passed. And it's my brother, who is you know him well. And so Scott drew the short straw to go inform my mom that her daughter had passed away. So he goes to the thing, and he's there, tells her that I have something that I need to tell you. And so he says, Jolene, your daughter died. She passed away. And she kind of looked at him and she goes, "Oh." She goes, "Do you have any Reese's peanut butter cups?" And when my brother told me that, I was like, "No." And he goes, "Yeah.
Yeah.
And all that angst, probably knowing, Scott probably not sleeping. I've got to go do this.
That's when you're glad they have dementia.
Yeah.
When it's stuff like that they're completely unaware of how bad things are, or how sad
Or
things
how you
are.
look. She used to tell me, which she didn't when she was living, she used to say, "Oh, you're such a nice lady." I was like, "Really?" Or this was the best. She'd go, honey, you don't have to. You've been here such a long time. I've been there 2 minutes. I was like, okay, see you later. Gotta go.
In my family, the joke is my grandmother used to look at us, and she was in a nursing home, and she would say, I can't believe you haven't been picked up for some modeling.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Yeah, it's great. It's really
Can't
good
believe
stuff.
it.
I know. But that's the kind of stuff, when people, pass on and stuff, that's what it's all about. It's all about,
You remember all the good stuff.
you do, memories and, yeah.
And for a person that wrote in, I just realized, she's already grieving. Like the grieving process when your parents are going, that it starts. And so the upside of that is you kind of, you still grieve when they die, but it's hard. What she's going through now, in my opinion, is the worst part, honestly. That's what I would say.
Curious, when it's all over, what was there like specific feeling, or how would I word that, Mr.
Well,
Rob?
it's a strange word, but it's relief.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the loss of your parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
My parents are dead. It's a relief. It doesn't
Yes.
sound great, but that's what
It sounds
that's
terrible.
that's what I think the word.
Well,
I'd be reluctant to ask that normally.
No,
were you relieved that they died?
Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
the best day of my life.
Yeah,
No, it was,
yeah.
but it
Hugely
is.
relieved. I played Quizzo.
We were praying like, oh my God, well, like, Mom, please just close your eyes, because it was just the last, she died 6 months after my father.
Wow.
And she got COVID, and he had, COVID was not kind to people that had conditions and were in their 80s. But, it's relief. It's weird. It's sad. It's like, oh my God, I don't have a mother anymore. Or, oh my God, I'm an orphan now. But, an orphan at the age of 58.
Yeah.
But,
they say though, I remember Tom Kennedy said that you can go to the orphans picnic.
yeah, exactly.
Did you ever hear that?
No, but you could have a club. I told my friends whose parents had passed before mine, like, now we can all start an orphans club.
Yeah, you really are. You really are. When people talk about their parents, it's really different at first. Mine have been gone so long, but yours have not.
Yeah.
And when people talk about their parents, you're like, wow, mine aren't. Yeah.
Wow, I had parents.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's really. I was 7 months pregnant with Doug when my dad died. So, but he did meet Robert as a little
tyke.
Really little enough to put in a trash can and sit him up on the office counter, thinking everybody wanted to meet him.
Everybody was there for you.
Everybody was there for you, Rob.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Everybody came into the insurance office to see you.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Thrilling for them that they got a reprieve from their insurance agent.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. You were saying what people talk about, because they have something in common. You have
Yes.
something in common with people that have lost their parents. You have something in common when your dad has a heart attack, and you think you're the only person in the world whose father has had a heart attack, and then everybody's father has. It seemed like everybody I talked to's father has had a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. What I don't particularly, and I'm guilty of it, is if you're sitting around a pool or something down in Florida visiting a friend, they talk about procedures.
Oh, God.
It's like, and I
Or
have really
ailments.
good hearing, which is a nice thing, but I'm listening to the clamptomectomy over here.
This is rich coming from someone. I've heard about her left. What hand is it? Just tell her what hand. Tell Barrie what hand
What
it is.
happened?
Oh, I'm having hand surgery.
She's having hand
Lord.
surgery.
Yeah, trigger finger.
The audience is hearing about it for the first time. I'm hearing about it for the 1,000th
You
time.
have trigger? I don't
Yeah.
even know what that is, but
It has nothing to do with a weapon.
okay.
It's when your finger, it's kind of painful, and I can't bend it, but if it bent, it would lock, and then
Ooh.
it would pop back up. People listening they know what it is. They'll know what it is. It's actually my sister had it done, and I know my dad did. So maybe it's genetic or something. I don't know, but yeah, procedures but people talk about what they have in common.
Yeah, or like, at the age of, I'm on the sunny side of 60 now, talking about, like, oh my God, my tooth fell out. What do you mean your tooth fell out? Oh, my toenail fell off. What do you mean it's like, and then it's like, oh my God, I'm gross. I'm like a gross
yeah.
human now.
Really?
It used to be you had a cavity.
Right.
And then I was having root canals.
Yeah.
Like it was really like, what happened?
Crown.
to
Yeah,
my
what happened?
You were
Crowns.
crowned. You're royalty.
Yeah. And it wasn't just one tooth. It was like multiple teeth. I was having where it probably sounded like I was making it up. to my work. I was like, no, seriously, I have another dental procedure that I have to go to. And it was awful.
Yeah, they were saying, use something else, Rob. You've been using the dentist for...
yeah, something else.
The great news is that you're still around and hopefully having a pretty good time, so I can't complain.
So people say that, right? It's like, oh God, I can't believe I don't want to be whatever age. It's like, but then people will say, but it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, well, actually, it is, and there are some benefits to. You were at my 60th.
Yes, that was a
party.
blast.
Yeah, you going to have a big party
Next year? I think so.
Yeah.
I think I am.
I think it'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be pretty cool. 60's really is a pretty interesting. I think it was a pretty interesting age. I was telling Rob, the 7 still. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that number. It's just
you look exactly the same as you did.
Thank you, Barrie.
On your 60th birthday.
Thank you, Barrie.
I'm serious.
Yeah, she's serious.
I'm serious.
I think she looks great too.
She does.
Yeah.
Well, you're active. I think being active, even walking saves people a lot of, I
think
really
it's
do.
hugely important.
Bigly.
Yeah, active, and I'm still sticking with the humor. I'm just laugh. I find so many things amusing, and you know that, Barrie, because usually I'm shocked that we've gotten through this without acting like complete idiots.
I am. She was working for your uncle, and we first met. I swear to God, the day we met, we were probably making fun of somebody.
It's
not your uncle.
We'll talk. Yeah, probably
Yeah.
not Scott.
Yeah, it was just like lots of laughter.
Yeah.
There was just an instant connection of sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so important to me. It's just so important because, as I said, lots of stuff's not easy.
I think it's the most important thing, and even talking about death and dying, and it's so heavy. And my best friend died when she was 43 weeks before her 46th birthday.
Charlene.
Bobbie, you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Joyce.
Oh,
Yeah, Charlene was the
Charlene,
next
yeah.
year too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Anyway, but the thing is that you can always, always, always find something to laugh at. Always. And I just believe that's true. Doesn't matter. The situation is dark, but you can always find something. Plus, some of that is like when you're going through that experience and somebody you love is dying, and maybe you haven't gone through that experience before. So there's always something new, and like there's no book on it, right? Like you don't know how you're supposed to act or behave. I remember my friend Joyce, she was on oxygen, and I said, we got to burn some incense or something up in here. It's like nasty up in here, Joyce. And she's like, get the sage, get the sage. And I go to light it, and we're looking at each other across the room, and I'm like, what about the oxygen? She's like, do it. And I lit the sage, and we're both looking at each other with big eyes like, am I going to blow this house up? Yeah.
It's true, though, but it's not... I think it's discouraged to talk about it broadly. It really is. Like even leading into this podcast, talking to a few, people who have been following us along the way, usually the first reaction was, oof, that's kind of heavy. Like, do you really want to go there? We're all going to get there.
Yeah, it's
life.
life.
It's life. So I think if you can do it in to your point, in a humorous way, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, the people around you, you surround yourself with people who, give you that soft place to fall and can appreciate a good yarn.
absolutely. And directing to just briefly to the woman that wrote in, what would your suggestions be if you don't have family or someone that you can vent? I mean, you need to vent. You need to express how you're feeling and what's going on. So what would you say to her? Sort of number one, number two, things that you can do to make your life a little bit easier.
Well, number one is you have to take time for yourself. So whatever that time is, if it's reading, if it's going to the gym, if it's getting drunk once a week, I don't care what it is, but you have to. You can't always be the caregiver 24/7. You have to have a break. But the other thing is, like, there are really good groups, support groups. You're a life coach. There are life coaches. There are therapists. There are groups. And everybody's, you can't go anywhere without finding somebody who's lost parents. And usually if the parents have a diagnosis like Alzheimer's or my father had Parkinson's, the hospitals or their doctors will have support, they'll have literature and groups and things that you can do. And also, I mean, it wouldn't be my preference, but there are a lot of virtual support groups, and people love them. People
online
use
things.
online support, yeah. So I think, you have to vent, and you have to also get away.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we were talking a little bit about that before we got here, and I was saying, there are people. A lot of people don't have the means, because you have to pay me,
Right.
for support and to be there. And but if you do, that's a great idea, or any kind of therapy or whatever it is that you need, if you can afford that, and also the means possibly to hire help.
Yeah,
you
to
you
hire
don't
help
have to
or-
be there all the time. Somebody else can hire a cleaning person.
Yeah.
Let somebody else do that.
That, right.
Yes.
Or also, you have friends, you have neighbors. Somebody will go sit with your mother for an hour.
People will if you
They
ask.
will.
They will
Absolutely.
ask. Ask
That's
your
the
friend.
thing. You
Yeah.
have to ask people to help you.
Yes, you do. And a lot of times, women don't.
And they don't. But also, when you're the caretaker of your parents, it's such an emotional hardship. But if I said to you, "Hey, Bob, will you go sit with Mom and Dad for an hour?"
Hell yeah.
It's like nothing for you, because it's an hour out of your day, but it doesn't have that same
No, it
weight.
doesn't. It's almost like
associated
your
with it.
child when your kid is in a restaurant. I don't care what the restaurant is, crying or doing something. You're hearing every noise, every drop, I've got to get out of here. This is so embarrassing. They're ruining people's dinners, blah, 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 blah. When it's somebody else's kid, I don't even hear it.
Right.
I'm like, unless it's ridiculous, but like, that's not my kid. I mean, we're just eating. And you almost feel thrilled that it's not. It's like, oh, I feel sorry for those bastards over there, right? Because they're not having any fun at all chasing that kid around. And it's the same thing with your parents. I mean, I don't know the whole, what they're saying.
You're not going to have any, right.
Emotional, I don't have that.
My mother's going to tell you about the teeth in the chair. And
Exactly.
You say, all
I'm
right,
gonna
where's-
think
give
that's
me the
pretty
phone,
funny.
I'll call.
Yeah, I'll call. Exactly. There's no skin off my back.
That's great. That's awesome.
Well,
That's
thank you
awesome.
so much, Barrie.
This has been really fun.
This has been wonderful. Thank you for sharing your stories, and thanks for sharing your experiences. We really appreciate it. This was our 10th episode, and I thought it was one of our best. So thank you so much.
You guys are great. I'm happy for you that
Thank
you're
you.
doing this. It's
Yeah.
really a terrific podcast. I tell everybody.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Well, we've done 10, so you can find our podcasts on our website at www.12poundpodcast.com. We'll continue to put out episodes every week, and though the summer is ending, we'll still have a couple opportunities to get back up on the boardwalk for Maury's Piers, who we are grateful as sponsors, so we want to thank them again for all of their support as we launch this new endeavor, and we will continue to share our stories with you. So thanks so much, Barrie. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Barrie.
guys.
Love
Mom,
you, man.
thank you.
Love you too.
Yeah.